More court orders rolling in against President Trump's immigration crackdown as a panel of federal judges reaffirming that the White House cannot unilaterally suspend laws prohibiting the asylum claims for migrants fleeing persecution or torture, plus an appeals court mostly keeping restrictions on sweeping immigration raids in the Los Angeles area, siding with a lower court ruling that states the raids seem to have been predicated based on race and other factors like speaking Spanish. I want to bring in Department of Homeland Security Public Affairs Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin. Tricia, good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me, Cheryl.
Yeah, so respond to this. I mean, we know that there's been multiple court cases, but I think the LA case in particular, obviously these are likely liberal-leaning judges that are once again going against the Department of Homeland Security. What is the path forward here from the legal side, from the attorneys at DHS, to make sure that these deportations are continued to be carried out as the American public had asked for?
Well, it's based on nonsense. It's not actually dealing with the facts. The fact that they invoked racial animus or that we were focused on what language someone speaks is absolutely false. We are focused on criminality, and we are focused on the fact that if you are here illegally, your immigration status. 70% of those illegal aliens who have been arrested under the Trump administration either have prior criminal convictions or pending criminal charges. So we are focused on getting people like MS-13 gang members, Tren de Aragua, terrorists, murderers, rapists, the worst of the worst out of this country, Cheryl. So this court case really will have no impact because we will keep on going, flooding the zone in sanctuary cities and going after the worst of the worst.
Yeah, I know that also there is the lawsuit against sanctuary cities, places like New York and Chicago. I know there's a legal setback there in Chicago. At the same time, we had Tom Homan here last week. I mean, the attacks on ICE agents. I wanted to get your take on how the weekend went because, these attacks are hitting records on these agents and the doxing of these agents and their families. Give us an update on that.
It's horrible, Cheryl. Our ICE enforcement officers are seeing an 830% increase in assaults against them. And it's not just assaults. We're also seeing mass amounts of doxing, and not just them, but their family members, where their spouses work, where their children go to schools. And keep in mind why that doxing is so terrible is because our law enforcement officers are dealing with highly sophisticated criminal gangs, criminal rings who use their names and that intelligence to go after our ICE enforcement officers personally.
Yeah, no, and certainly it has been. I mean, when Tom told us how many security cameras he had in his own homes, he said, but look, I'm the face of this. He goes, they're not. They're doing their jobs, and they're hardworking agents. I want to get your take on this. There's a manhunt underway this morning for an illegal migrant accused of trying to plow his car into ICE agents in Colorado. Now, this happened last week. The suspect's been deported 6 times, convicted, pedophile, domestic violence charges here in the U.S., another attempted assault as ICE agents are facing, again, you mentioned that 830% increase in attacks from last year. So how can these agents protect themselves? Because these attacks don't seem to be letting up. But we really saw the escalation of these attacks really began in Los Angeles at that pot farm.
We really need these Democrat politicians, whether it be AOC, Tim Walz, Karen Bass, or even Hakeem Jeffries. They got to turn down the rhetoric because somebody is going to get hurt or a law enforcement could be killed. When you liken our law enforcement to Nazis, to the modern day Gestapo, you are inviting violence against them. And as you mentioned, this depraved individual who was deported 6 times, Cheryl, unbelievable. But Colorado is a sanctuary state. And so unfortunately, when he was released from prison for his crimes, including child sex abuse, he was released back onto Colorado streets because Colorado would not hand him over to our ICE law enforcement, so he wouldn't be deported. But we really do need to see that rhetoric be turned down against our ICE law enforcement. Americans can be so proud of them. They're making America's streets safer, American communities, and really protecting our homeland.
We had Representative Kat Cammack on in the last portion of the show, and we were talking about alligator Alcatraz. I wanted to get your response as well to this. Governor DeSantis had to come out and defend alligator Alcatraz and its preparedness for hurricanes, which, you know, Florida is prepared for a hurricane. And she, you know, she pushed back and she said, no, you know, the media in particular, this is kind of goes to the Miami Herald, is, you know, putting this narrative out there that they're under deplorable conditions at Alligator Alcatraz. That simply isn't true. I wanted to get your take on this as well, since we were just talking about it with the representative.
Our ICE detention bed standards are some of the highest in the country. All of these detainees, they get full health care, full medical checkup as soon as they get in the door. They have proper nutritionists. They have 3 meals a day minimum. They get access to lawyers, get access to phone calls with their family. Some of this health care is the best that a lot of these detainees have ever had in their lives. So I completely reject the notion that these are in some way don't have quality at the detention facility. But again, as the representative mentioned, they don't need to be detained in Alligator Alcatraz. They don't need to be detained at all. You can use the CBP Home app and self-deport now, get a free flight home, $1,000, and preserve the potential opportunity to return the right legal way. But if you do not leave now, we will find you, we will arrest you, and we will deport you.
All right. I want to get your take on this as well, because we were talking about the safety of ICE agents. Well, the Department of Homeland Security is offering now these $50,000 signing bonuses, student loan forgiveness for any new ICE agents. This is a massive campaign to recruit more than 10,000 new agents this year. 10,000, that number, if achieved, would make ICE the single largest law enforcement agency in the nation. Tricia, tell us how that's going and what kind of response are you getting for this recruitment effort?
We are getting an overwhelming response. Already have 1,000 final offers out as of now, Cheryl, but we know we're going to turbocharge that in the coming weeks and get even more ICE enforcement officers on the ground. There's really strength in numbers, and these men and women are doing the Lord's work. They are getting the worst of the worst off of America's streets, and America can be so proud of them. If you are interested in joining ICE and being on the front lines, go to join.ice.gov.
Before you go, I do want to get your take on some of these sanctuary city policies. We touched on it a few minutes ago, but you know, I'm wondering, on the ground, are you hearing more stories of local law enforcement supporting the work of ICE agents? I mean, what can be a Wall Street Journal headline, or, you know, is different from like what the stories that you're hearing from the ground in these cities where there really are large populations of migrants, many of them dangerous migrants, whether it's here in New York City with Nicaragua or other parts of the nation. How are those relationships going? Are you seeing any improvement with local officials working with ICE agents to carry out these mass events?
It's really a city-by-city basis. For example, in New York, we've lodged thousands of detainers, up 400% detainers in NYC jails as compared to Joe Biden last year. Unfortunately, we've just seen just a handful of those detainers be honored. And the real problem with that is that it's safer for everyone if those detainers are honored. You don't put those criminal illegal aliens back on New York streets. So that's something that we are really hoping that those city officials will work with us on, because if not, we need to put even more law enforcement on the ground in cities like New York, so we really flood the zone to get those criminal illegal aliens off of American streets.
All right, Tricia McLaughlin, it's always great to have you on the program. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Cheryl.
All right.